Hello, everyone. Hello. It's Tuesday. Yay! Baby Talk Tuesdays. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Cara Wright, and I do this little thing called Baby Talk Tuesdays, mostly on every Tuesday, but sometimes it isn't on Tuesdays. But I have been doing them weekly, and I'm so proud of myself because I tend to do things really great for a period of time and then I fall off the wagon. How many of you guys actually do that? I could probably do a whole talk on that. Losing interest or thinking you lose interest in any case. But Baby Talk is one of those things that I am so grateful to be able to kind of be the mouthpiece for. And I do really feel like that. Like Baby Talk is one of those creations that has been asking to be created in the world, that it wants to have that voice out there, the different perspective that it is. And I have said yes to being the one to say it. So, for those of you that know me and love these, welcome back. For those of you that are new to Baby Talk, welcome. And we just, in these different Baby Talk Tuesdays, I just talk about just whatever pops, the topic that pops. Um, Anything from pregnancy to birth to communicating with babies, um, and more and more and more. So today, the topic that popped was what creates a birth as positive. I actually saw a post on Facebook and someone was talking about like what what is that even? What does that even mean to have a positive birth experience? Now, do I think that having an experience as a woman with your birth that is empowering is important and that is going to make a big difference for every woman? Absolutely. There's a big difference between an empowering birth and what you've decided is positive. I've talked a lot about in past baby talks and just in general over the years about how, birth is one of the most polarized topics. Pregnancy and birth really is one of the most polarized topics. When I was new to this genre, when I started out doing yoga, regular yoga, having regular people in class with me doing yoga, and then I just got drawn to this whole universe of what is prenatal and postnatal yoga, and that's really where I started to put my foot into um, all things pregnancy and birth. And the woman that was my mentor in prenatal and postnatal yoga, just an amazing woman who was a labor and delivery nurse for years and years and years. And then over time had changed her perspective and started to educate herself about the different ways in which women can actually deliver in a way that works for them and for the baby. And that's really like when I look at um, positive birth, to me, that's like a judgment. It's a judgment of like not negative, but positive. Like, what if you actually started to allow yourself and you encouraged women? If you're someone who works with women who are pregnant, if you're someone who works with women during birth, like, what if you started to look at like and assisted women to choose things that are going to empower them, to allow them to feel empowered and feel as if they're choosing what's going on. I would say the number one thing that can happen during birth, especially that creates a situation where a woman does not feel like she had a positive birth experience, is when a woman feels like she had her choice taken away, whatever that choice was. And it can be a small choice and it can be a big choice. And birth is one of those things that you can have a sense of what you would like to create. I think it's amazing to educate yourself on the process. It's amazing to educate yourself of what generally occurs in the environment you're choosing to have your baby in. Meaning, if you are going into a hospital to birth your baby and you're birthing with an obstetrician, you need to educate yourself on, okay, so what does that generally look like? And if you're going into a hospital and you may be birthing with a midwife who works within a hospital setting, what does that generally look like? If you're someone who's going to a birth center, if you're someone who's going to be birthing your baby at home, if you know with a midwife, if you're going to be doing an unassisted birth, easy for me to say, um, all of these different styles and types of things, you can have an idea of the general, I'll say, flow of things, the general things that are part of that experience. But even within that, there's always going to be variations. There's always going to be things that show up. And so one of the things that I focus on work when I'm working with women, and a lot of the things I teach women running bars on my clients is really helpful, is that you can have an idea of what you would like your birth to look like. You can even have that communication with your baby, which I talk a lot about in baby talks, so that you know what their perspective is, and what they're coming to the birth with, because you will be aware of your baby, you will be aware of their thoughts, feelings, and emotions. You will be aware of everything that they're anticipating, you will be aware of everything that you are anticipating. You will have hopes and dreams, they will have hopes and dreams, and that's just the two of you. Then you have to factor in everyone else who may or may be present at the birth, and people don't even have to be present at the birth in order for you to be aware of their thoughts, feelings, and emotions, their fears, their dreams, their likes, their dislikes, what occurred for them, what didn't occur for them. It's one of those loaded topics that you are never going, I shouldn't say never. It will be rare for you to find someone who's a blank slate with what they've decided birth is, what they've decided you should do in birth, what you shouldn't do in birth. Um, and it can be like from their own personal experience, it can be from what they've learned, what they've read. Everybody has a friend of a friend. I used to joke in my prenatal classes a lot, because it seemed like the people that gave the most unsolicited advice were older men, like grandpa types. And I always thought that was so funny, because you would invariably have someone show up to class. And in the beginning of my prenatal classes, we would have what I would call the circle, and we would go around and women would say their name, how far along they are, and then anything that was going on for them, whether it was something going on in their body, something going on with their baby, like something going on with, if they were sleeping well, or if they were stressed about something, or if they were worried or concerned about something. Like anything was really, the circle was open. You could talk about anything. And it was always so funny to me, invariably, how many women would get unsolicited advice from, some older gentleman at the store, in line at the grocery store or in the elevator or whatever. And so, you know, looking at this whole idea of what makes a birth positive, it's like, what if it isn't a thing that makes a birth positive? What if it is a way a woman can be present with herself, her baby, and her body during a birth process? It's not about like what actually occurs, it's more about a woman's confidence in herself, her ability to trust herself, her ability to know that she will know what she and her baby require, and that everyone who that woman has brought into her birth experience is there to support her choice. That it's all information for her to look at, to consider, to go, yes, that's light for me, or no, that makes me feel gross and heavy. And these are the things, these are the tools that I have come to um believe that those are the things that start to allow women to have more of an empowering birth experience. Because if you're relying on your birth being a certain way, or like, this is what I'm going to do, and if I don't succeed with A, B, C, D, E, and F, then it's not a positive birth experience. That, like, contracting yourself to, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this, and I'm not going to do this, before you even get into the moment, that is never going to lead you down a path of having an empowered birth. And what would it look like if women started to actually like have the information, have the education, be aware of the possibilities, and choose in the moment for what works for them, and not hold themselves to some sort of standard or practice that if they don't quote unquote succeed in it, they didn't have a positive birth experience. So much of what women experience and so much of what creates birth as a negative or even traumatic birth experience is how a woman looks at herself, how she feels about herself after the process. So there's so much more that can be presented, and there's so much more that a woman can choose, and so much more grace and gratitude a woman can have for herself, for her body, and for her baby. And it's really just more about getting out of that mindset of there's one way to do things, there's only this way, and that if you don't stay true to what you decided however long ago, you didn't succeed. So that's kind of my baby talk today. Next week, I don't have a topic yet. I'm just letting May is kind of one of those months this year that is just kind of letting topics pop. So if there's something that you would like me to speak to, please either PM me or head over to the Baby Talk with Cara Wright Facebook group and jump in there, and you can just put right there in the comments like, hey, I'd love to hear you speak on this, or hey, I'd love to have a tool that would help me with this. Like anything that you have that I can contribute to, please let me know. I love doing these, and I love to actually have them contribute to the people that are listening. So if you're someone who's new to Baby Talk and you know that this would contribute to someone you know, please share it with them. I would be super grateful for that. And we will see you next week. Bye, everyone.